Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to explore a significant turning point in the landscape of digital advertising, the opening of the Google Ads Performance Max black box. For years, Performance Max was viewed as a mysterious system where you put in your assets and hope for the best. However, with the introduction of PMax Experiments and the channel timeline, we are finally moving into an era of controlled experimentation. We will discuss how to run real A/B tests without cloning campaigns, how to avoid learning resets, and how to uncover the hidden trends that blended reporting usually hides from view. Our goal today is to master the tools of observation, testing, and decision-making to optimize performance with scientific precision. The fundamental change we are witnessing is the shift from opacity to visibility. Performance Max spent its early years as a black box, but the latest wave of tools released for 2025 and 2026 has transformed it into a system we can truly observe and test. We now define evidence as a combination of three critical pillars: experiments, channel visibility, and asset group data. Experiments allow us to test changes without the need for cloning. Channel visibility lets us see week-over-week performance broken out by platform. Asset group data provides the granular insights needed to understand what creative is actually working. While we can now see much more, we must acknowledge the catch. We can observe and test, but we still cannot directly dictate channel budgets within a single campaign. Let us examine the shift from guessing to measuring. In the old way, which many still follow, advertisers would clone a campaign just to test a single change. This was problematic because cloning resets the machine learning phase and splits your budget, making the results unreliable. You were forced to trust one blended performance number, never really knowing what caused a shift in results. The new way focuses on observation and proof. By running controlled experiments within a single campaign, traffic is split internally. This prevents learning resets and eliminates confounding variables. You can now see exact channel and asset group breakdowns, allowing you to prove a change works before you commit to rolling it out across your entire account. How do these PMax experiments actually work? Starts by defining one specific change you wish to test. Google then splits your traffic internally between your control arm, which is your current setup running unchanged, and your treatment arm, which is the same campaign plus your one specific change. The breakthrough here is that this all happens within one campaign. There is no cloning, no budget split into separate entities, and most importantly, no learning reset. Google measures the lift with statistical confidence, allowing you to confidently roll out the winner and discard the loser. This internal split is the key to maintaining the momentum of your campaign's data history while still seeking improvements through rigorous A/B testing. Now, let's look at the test menu to see what variables you can actually manipulate in these experiments. First, you can test bidding targets, raising or lowering your ROAS or TCPA to measure the trade-off between volume and efficiency. Second, audience signals allow you to swap or add signals to see if they sharpen delivery. Third, you can test asset groups by pitting new creative headlines and themes against your current top performers. Fourth, you can evaluate final URL expansion to see if Google's landing page matching is truly helping or hurting your conversion rate. Fifth, you can test new customer mode to see if prioritizing new acquisitions provides better long-term value than your current setup. Finally, you can validate budget changes, ensuring that an increase will actually scale conversions before you commit the additional capital. By changing only one variable at a time, the experiment tells you whether that change has truly earned its place. Reading the results of an experiment requires discipline. A result is only real once the traffic has split fairly, the system has learned fully, and you have cleared the statistical noise. In the example on the screen, a ROAS test shows a control ROAS of 3.1 and a treatment ROAS of 3.8. That is a 23% lift with 95% confidence, a clear win. However, you must follow 4 rules. First, reach significance before trusting the gap. Second, let the learning phase finish, don't call it early. Third, change only one variable, or you will never know which change moved the needle. Finally, run a full cycle to cover your typical purchase journey and weekly seasonality. Only then can you be certain that your data reflects reality rather than a temporary fluke. Next, we have the channel timeline. This tool surfaces shifts that the blended total completely hides. Look at the illustrative chart here. While the total conversions might look stable, the underlying data shows a different story. YouTube performance is sliding week after week, a slow leak that would be invisible in a standard report. Meanwhile, shopping is climbing, quietly doing the heavy lifting for the campaign. This insight tells us it is worth feeding the shopping channel with better product data. The timeline allows you to react in week 3, rather than discovering a failure at the end of the quarter. By acting on these trends early, you can adjust your strategy, swap assets, or refine signals to shore up declining channels before they impact your overall bottom line. We must be honest about the limits of this new visibility. While we can now see more, we still cannot steer the machine with direct force. You can see performance split by channel, spot week-over-week trends, and read asset group breakdowns. You can even run controlled experiments. However, you still cannot tell PMax to spend 80% on search, or force budget onto a specific channel. You cannot simply turn an individual channel off. Instead, you must steer indirectly. You guide the system through experiments, asset group adjustments, audience signals, exclusions, and the product feed. If you truly need total channel control, you may still need to split into separate campaigns. But for most, this indirect steering through evidence is a far more efficient path. To succeed, we must adopt the test and learn loop, which is essentially the scientific method applied to Performance Max. It is a repeatable cycle. First, you observe, you read the channel timeline and asset group data to find a shift or an opportunity. Second, you hypothesize. You turn that trend into one specific testable change. Third, you test. You run a PMax experiment and allow it to reach statistical significance. Finally, you decide. You roll out the winner, discard the loser, and document the findings. Then, you repeat the process. Every cycle you complete compounds your evidence and improves your account's performance. PMax stops being something you trust on faith and becomes something you steer with absolute proof. Even with these tools, good intentions can go wrong if you lack discipline. Here are 6 common testing mistakes to avoid. First, still cloning to test. This is outdated and receipts etching. Second, reading but never acting. Don't watch a trend slide for weeks without launching a test. Third, calling it too early. Declaring a winner before significance is reached is just gambling. Fourth, testing many things at once. You must isolate the cause to understand the effect. Fifth, expecting direct control. Don't fight against settings that do not exist. Finally, ignoring asset group data. Often, one poor asset group is quietly dragging down the entire campaign while you look at blended numbers. Avoid these pitfalls to ensure your experiments yield actionable, profitable results for your business. In conclusion, I present to you the Observe, Test, Decide playbook. Your weekly rhythm should involve reading the channel timeline, checking breakdowns, and flagging shifts early. For every change you want to make, form one clear hypothesis, run a one-variable experiment, and let it reach significance. Never clone for testing again. When the results are in, roll out the winners and document the success. Remember to steer your channels indirectly through signals and assets, and only split campaigns when it is absolutely necessary. The black box finally has a window and a control group. Our days of guessing are over. It is time to observe, test, and decide based on the evidence. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing how you apply these scientific principles to your own campaigns to drive unprecedented growth. If your advertising isn't delivering the results you expect, the problem may not be the budget, it may be the strategy. At Namster Marketing, we help businesses turn advertising into a predictable growth engine. Book a free consultation with our team, and let's explore how we can help scale your results.